side eye, because I would never. I've always said if a book can make me cry and suffocate my heart, that is a good book. I'm googling cringe synonyms because I don't want to keep using that. Welcome to Vlogmas Day, whatever it is. I don't know when I'm gonna post this, so I'm just gonna edit it here. But I just had the great idea of subjecting myself to some holiday books because 'tis the season. And although I've never read a holiday book, I don't think I'll enjoy them just because I think they're gonna be too cringy for me. So we're gonna try them out today and see how it goes. I'm actually kind of worried that this is gonna put me in a slump, and I do not want that to happen. So hopefully there are gonna be some enjoyable books in this vlog. I also am a slow reader, so I'm not sure how many books I'm gonna get through, but before we get into the reading vlog, I'm gonna go and make myself a hot chocolate. For some reason, I thought this was going to turn out more aesthetic. I do not have a Kindle device, so I just read on my Kindle app on my phone. Some of the biggest titles I've seen going around are How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn, The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score, In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. That one's not on Kindle Unlimited though. I don't want to read How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn because I have read a book by her and I DNF'd it immediately within the first 50 pages. I think her writing style just isn't for me, and that isn't to say that you shouldn't read this one, so don't make your decisions based just on mine because I can be quite picky with my books. We're gonna start off strong with a well-known author, and that is Hazelwood. I'm planning to read this one. This is only 73 pages, so maybe I can read all of the Under the Mistletoe books, which I have just noticed is the reason for why all of these books have the same Christmas lights on the covers, because I think all of these authors collaborated together. I'm a little worried about these books because I loved The Love Hypothesis when it came out. I was obsessed with that book, and I remember I brought that book with me to work and kept it in my car so that I could go to my car just to read it during my lunch break. But that's kind of where my love for her went downhill because I tried to read some of her other books and didn't quite like them. I did like Bride, that one was good, and I think I liked it because I'm in my fantasy era, and since it's werewolves and vampires, duh, fantasy or paranormal, however you want to categorize it, of course I'm gonna love that. But her contemporary romances sometimes give me the ick. I did read Check and Mate. I skimmed through to get to the end and that was okay. I tried to read Love on the Brain. I had found it at the library, and the whole month I had it, I barely picked it up. I even tried to bring it to my LA trip and read it on the plane. Still cannot get into it. Granted, I was probably only 10 pages in, so honestly I barely tried. Some of the reasons why I DNF Check and Mate and didn't really go farther into Love on the Brain is because of Allie's writing style. It's not bad, just some of the pop culture moments that she brings into her writing gives me the ick. From the beginning, I wasn't going into this reading vlog with much hope anyway, since I know that I get cringed out really easily. I do love watching Hallmark Christmas movies and romance movies, and of course I still get the ick sometimes from the movies, but something about reading them is entirely different, and I cannot explain how. Maybe because I have to put more brain power into reading, so when I read things that give me the ick, it's harder for me to accept it than if I'm watching it through the screen. There are only 7 chapters, so let's get into it. This is exactly what I mean when I say sometimes the language that Allie uses or the way she writes just makes me cringe because she wrote, "I am after all just a girl," which obviously everybody says that. I will be honest and say that when these trends come around, I'm always behind. Bruh was a big thing when I was in 7th grade. Now I use it every day, but back then when I was in 7th grade, I was like, I'm not using that word. That's so weird. Every time I heard it come out of somebody's mouth, it was weird. So when I hear those trending slang phrases, I playfully say it in comments or like in descriptions, but I have never once said that out loud. I guess the biggest problem is just like hearing myself say it in my head because I'm reading to myself. That's why I get so cringed out, because I'm like, oh, that didn't sound right coming out of my mouth. Take Riz or Skibbity or Delta. I don't know what these kids are using these days. I've heard those phrases going around. My little siblings, they are that age where all those kids are using that type of language, and I'm like, side eye, because I would never say those things out loud. Thoughts on chapter 1. Why did it kind of feel long? It was only 7 pages. The thing about me too is if I'm reading on an electric device, I feel like I read way slower. I don't like the MMC's name, Mark. I used to love this man named Mark. He was in a K-pop band called GOT7. He's very attractive, but still to this day, I do not like that name, even though I was a fan of his. So this Mark definitely isn't gonna get a pass. Hey guys, I don't know if you can see, but why am I crying over a holiday book right now? I'm seriously such a baby, and I will cry over anything. I'm only on page 28, and I'm actually loving the pacing of this book. Okay, wow, that was actually so cute. I can't believe I was doubting this, but I will say that it wasn't giving a lot of Hallmark Christmas movie vibes, so I think that helped. It was a lot of backstory, and obviously this is a novella. It's under 100 pages, so I expected it to be fast-paced, which I did actually like because I'm reading a fantasy right now. Always reading a fantasy, you know me. It's probably over 400 pages, so I'm always looking for shorter stories that get to the point, you know? I related a lot with Jamie and kind of her trauma growing up, feeling these abandonment emotions, so I highlighted a lot of quotes about that. I'll share all my quotes and also put them on the side here if you want to read them. This one I highlighted on page 40. It says, I have a roommate I get along with and lots of friends and colleagues who. Then Mark interrupts her and says, I don't doubt that. You can still be lonely, which is so true. It's often said that people with bigger groups of friends are lonelier or don't really have the best relationships with all of those people. The next quote I highlighted, page 45. In this one, Mark is saying, she's shy and reserved and focused, a bit of a people pleaser. That's the one, honey. That was literally me in high school. Doing my own thing, focusing on school, my grades, to please everybody around me. And I was always that person that people would come up and ask me to copy their homework off of. Being the people pleaser that I am, I allowed them to. And now that I'm an adult, it kind of ticks me off because, damn, I was letting everybody just step on me. So if you're that person in school that's asking to copy off of someone's homework, we don't like you. The next one is on page 54. Again, Mark is saying, you have this odd belief that you cannot tell people how you really feel, or you'll be saddling them with the weight of the world and they'll leave you. I still do struggle with this, where I have a hard time telling people the truth because I don't want to let them down, or I feel like if I do tell them the truth, they will hate my opinion and not want to be friends anymore. And I also have this weird thing where I feel like I cannot fully show myself to others because then they'll think I'm annoying and then leave. It's definitely gotten easier, especially with me being on social media constantly. I'm literally pouring my heart out to the universe right now. So it's definitely a little bit easier, obviously, through the camera. But sometimes even when I'm editing videos of myself, I'm like, oh, was that too annoying? Or, am I gonna lose friends over this? Yeah, overall, really good book. I would give it 4 stars. Also, one thing y'all have to know is that when I rate books, there's a different scale for fantasy and then non-fantasy books. Fantasy books I rate harsher, but since it's separated, romance books I have an easier time giving a higher rating to. So if you see my other ratings and you think, wow, 4 stars is pretty good compared to one of the fantasy books that I've read before, please know they are very different. Don't be thinking like, oh my gosh, 4 stars, this must be an amazing book. I've always said if a book can make me cry and suffocate my heart while I'm reading it, that is a good book, and I'm gonna rate it 4 stars or higher. That kind of had me geeked out, and I want to get to the next book. Since these books are pretty short, I'm gonna make this whole week of me reading Christmas books. So tomorrow we'll start Tessa Bailey's book, and I really hope that it's just as good as the one from today. It is day 2 of subjecting myself to holiday books, and I think today's book is Tessa Bailey's. I have heard some things about this author's other books, not really amazing things, so I am a little concerned. I was just having mic troubles, but I finally fixed it. The reviews aren't looking too good. It has 2.9 stars on Goodreads and Amazon 3.3 stars. Let's see what this one is about. A single mother working in a thrift store, a gentle giant farmer who can't find jeans that fit. Confused already. I'm a little bit worried about this one, but it is only 59 pages. So let me add it to my Kindle app. I don't know what book I should get rid of. For now, I'm gonna get rid of Twisted Lies. I haven't read that one in a really long time, and I do have the physical copy. Okay, let's go. Our FMC is named Evie and our MMC is named Luke. We have 6 chapters total and an epilogue. Very short story, so I think I can finish this super quick. This is so cringe already. She says, I'm reminded why he can never find anything in the little corner thrift shop that fits. He's biblically, can I speak? He's biblically huge. He's biblically huge, at least 6 feet 6 inches of brute force. Broad and stacked, filthy from farm work, mean looking, a grizzly bear wouldn't cross his path. This is not off to a great start. I'm only on page 3. This is totally off topic, but I was reading another book yesterday where one of the characters was 7 feet tall. And I'm sorry, but for me, I would never date anybody 7 feet tall or over 6'6", I think. That's so tall, especially compared to me. I'm not even really tall. I'm like 5'3". But imagine somebody a whole foot taller than you. Can you imagine a 7-foot person? Granted, this was a fantasy book, so fantasy is always crazy. But let's get back into the book. I'm reading to myself out loud, and in case you're curious how bad I really am at reading, let me try to read this sentence to you guys. I'm caught quite off guard by the sensation of work roughened hands and the friction they create on my soft palms. What would never mind, I'm gonna stop right there. Wow, that was very different from the first one that I read, in the sense that this one, they were strangers and their love developed in a shorter time frame, versus the first one I read by Hazelwood. They've known each other for a really long time, so it felt like their love was stronger and more well developed. Tessa Bailey's writing isn't bad, and I say that in comparison to if I were to write a story, I would never be able to write sentences the way that she does, just because my vocabulary is so small. I will say there are some parts that made me feel... I'm Googling cringe synonyms because I don't want to keep using that. Here we go. There were just some things that she wrote that made me recoil and question the book. Overall, it was short, quick, definitely giving more Hallmark movie vibes than Hazelwood's. So expect those awkward elements, but I'm not mad that I read it since it was only 60 pages, probably even less considering all of the filler pages. We are still going on a good streak here, so I'm actually a little bit excited about tomorrow's book. Hello? Oh shit, this isn't even on. Today is day 3 of reading holiday books for the week. Today's book is All by My Elf by Olivia Dade. I'm gonna look at this author. Have I ever read any books by her? Nope, and I've never seen any of her other books. What is this one about? It is 55 pages, perfect. Heinous holiday traffic, a fateful snowstorm bring good friends together. Nina and William. They are both underpaid adjunct professors at the same university. Alright, let me swap this one in with Merry Ever After. Also, let me go look at the reviews. I'm curious to see how it compares to the one I read yesterday. I think it's worse. It has 2.9 stars on Amazon and 2.6 stars on Goodreads. So we're in for a ride. But I will say the next 2 books have pretty good reviews. I shouldn't judge yet because I haven't even opened up the book yet. First of all, there are no chapters in this book. Very confusing. But okay, let's go. I'm very tired today. I literally just started and I am already confused what is even happening right now. Not me reading 37 years old and thinking, damn, that's old. This one didn't really hold my interest at all. It's only 50 pages and I found myself leaving the app to do something else, whereas the other 2 books I could finish in one sitting. This one I did finish in one sitting, but I still exited the app and scrolled on social media. Kind of got tired. I wanted to nap a little bit because I didn't really relate to the story. Also, this didn't really give me Christmas vibes. They were stuck in a winter storm and that's about it for all of the Christmas vibes. So for those reasons, I would rate this one 1 star as well. As a matter of fact, if I had to compare it to the one that I read yesterday, I would say yesterday's was a little better. And I'm rating this based on the fact that it didn't grasp my attention. There was nothing inherently wrong with it, so please do not take it personal if you liked this book. Today's book is Merriment and Mayhem by Alexandria Bellefleur. 3.6 stars on Amazon, 3.4 stars on Goodreads, so I have a little more hope for today. Here she is. It is 58 pages. It's about a fireman making a holiday rescue after a baking disaster by Everly Dangerfield. Very fitting for this plot. My head kind of hurts because today I was drinking with my sister for a boozy baking vlog. If it's already posted, you already know where to find that, and it's also in the vlogmas playlist if you want to watch it. Let me try to get comfy since my head is banging. This one was quite enjoyable. Definitely caught my attention more than the previous one, and I think it has a lot to do with the MMC. He is a very flirty MMC versus the last two ones. They were very shy, so as you can see, I like straightforward people. I think I would give this 3 stars. Yeah, that was pretty good. We're ending things off on a sweet note, so hopefully tomorrow's read also goes well. Finally, we are at day 5. Only Santa's in the building. 3.7 stars on Amazon, 3.4 on Goodreads. It is 65 pages and it is about a Santa themed party. I just realized that her name is Evie as well. If I remember correctly, the main character in book 2 was also named Evie. Ooh, I do like the MMC's name, Theo Winters. This one was probably the most holiday-esque one. It was good but didn't really have a plot. I think I would also give this 1 or 2 stars. Day 6, and for these last 2 days, I'm going to be reading My December Darling by Lauren Asher. This one is quite longer than the others, 252 pages, and this author is known for her Lakefront Billionaire series. Although I've never read a book by her, I do have high hopes. This is about a grumpy maid of honor and an outgoing best man who chases after what he wants. It is also dual POV. Let's get into it. Her sister started dating her ex. This is how you know I didn't read the synopsis. Not gonna lie, I am actually enjoying this story. I am gonna stop at chapter 15. Good night. Wow guys, we made it to day 7. I cannot believe it because I thought I would give up halfway through, but thankfully the reads haven't been too unpleasant, plus they were very short so I could get through it. We are continuing on with My December Darling, and I am actually really enjoying this book. I think the reason for that is because I'm big on banter and longing, and of course I always love a good grumpy ex sunshine trope. I forgot that I wanted to mention I am a little concerned right now because we are 100 pages in and there's still 100 pages left. We're already halfway and they're kind of coming together as a couple, not officially, but that's why I'm concerned, because if they're already getting together and it's only halfway through the story, I get concerned that the story is just going to drag on. And this is a novella, so I struggle finding the balance between those really short stories that are 50 pages versus this one that's 250 pages. That's where I kind of question, where do we draw the line? What is too much for a novella and what is too little for a novella? Just some thoughts going through my head as I start chapter 15. Oh, that was so adorbs. And now I feel sad because I feel like I connected a lot with the characters and I'm like, damn, I need more of their story. This one was by far my favorite one, and that's because it had more plot. The characters were more relatable. If you liked Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, I think you will really enjoy this book. It is giving Yours Truly but holiday edition. I will say though, if you don't like miscommunication, you probably will not like some of the stuff that happens in this book, but I'm an overthinker and I overanalyze everything in my life, and both of our main characters in this book do the same thing. A lot of self-sabotaging happens with our main character Catalina, so I see myself in her. I really liked following her journey. Another relatable thing was Catalina's relationship with her mother. I don't have the most amazing relationship with my parents. Overall, we don't have big issues with each other. We just don't connect well. Even though we didn't have the full backstory of Catalina's childhood, I could tell that her and her mother's relationship was really strained. So whenever they communicated, it seemed like there was some tension in the air, but it was really nice to see that they were able to talk with each other and try to at least fix their relationship. The mother was telling Catalina that she didn't have a great relationship with her mom. They didn't express emotions a lot. Very similar to Asian culture. Parents don't really know how to express their feelings, and so so a lot of the time the kids don't either. So it was nice to see that. But yeah, I really liked everything in this story. The biggest reason why is because I'm big on banter and yearning, especially when the characters realize their feelings for the other person, but they also know they're in a difficult predicament and can't necessarily be with that person just yet. I love a good grumpy ex sunshine trope, and the MMC in this story was the sunshine while the FMC was the grump. Usually I like it the opposite way, so it was refreshing to get the reverse. And I really loved how confident Luke was. There's just something really attractive about people being confident and expressing that, but not in a cocky way. They're just self-assured and know how to put themselves out there, and I envy that because I struggle with that. And now I want to read some of my favorite quotes that I highlighted. I'll put the quotes on this side. This is at the beginning where we are just kind of meeting everybody. Catalina is at a meeting with her sister, her ex-boyfriend, her mom, and the MMC Luke. Her mom says, "I don't understand your reasons for disliking Luke, but he's practically Aiden's family, so would it kill you to be nice?" The jab lands, although I'm careful not to show it. I'm not even sure mom is aware of how much those kinds of statements hurt me because I've never opened up to her about it. So again, coming back to mother and daughter relationships, not being able to express emotions properly just because that was not how we were raised. Another mother-daughter quote, "In some ways, I even feel bad for my mom knowing she holds herself to this high standard that sucks the joy out of life. I don't remember her always being this bad, but growing up means gaining perspective on our parents and the fact that they're people too." Damn, that one just makes me sad because truly as an adult, I have really started to realize that everybody has their own life. There's a term for this. I forgot what it's called. I probably put it on one of my Insta captions. So let me go look. Here. The word is sonder, and it's basically the state of realizing that everybody has their own lives they're living, and they're the main character, and there's just a bunch of random people that are just side characters or nobody's in their story. Such a weird concept to really grasp because, you know, people are mostly focused on their lives. When do you really take a step back and realize that the stranger you met at the coffee shop is living their own life, and they could have had the worst day in their life, or they could be having the best day of their life. They could have just gotten engaged or something. There's so many different plots happening in this universe, which is so insane. That's why even now I tell myself not to hate on people. Even if I've had drama in the past with people, I'm like, I don't really know what was going on in their life at that point. I don't really know who they are. They could have the saddest backstory and I don't even know. And so that's what made them the miserable person that they are today. If you're ever questioning why people are the way they are, it is because of their story. Another quote about perspective. Catalina is talking about Luke, since he's more of this happy-go-lucky, confident guy. She was saying, "Luke has a way of making anyone feel comfortable in his presence, which was something I hadn't cared to notice before I was intent on focusing on the bad." Your perception really shapes your life. Before, Catalina only focused on the bad. She was seeing his confidence in bad light versus now she knows a little bit more about him, and so she realizes he's easygoing, he's polite, but in the past she would think his easygoingness was putting on a facade or his politeness was fake niceties, not because he's actually the nice guy who wants to make people feel welcomed. This book really does have a lot of good lessons in it. Some other quotes I highlighted that I just like and want to share. "I'm clearly a victim of consumer culture and capitalism." Very true. I wish I wasn't, honestly, but it is literally our entire universe. Think about Christmas. Christmas is known for gift giving, but if you think about it, it's more about spending time with your family and giving back to the people you love. It doesn't necessarily have to be gifts. Another quote, "During my drive home, my negative thoughts get the better of me and I'm already assuming the worst." This is how I know she's an overthinker just like me, because this happens to me all the time where I leave an event and then I go in my car and I end up driving home and I analyze every single thing that just happened at whatever event I was at. So bad. I'm trying not to, but it's really hard, especially because there's only me in my head, so what else am I supposed to do? Luke also has problems with his parents. He feels a sense of abandonment, and so I highlighted this quote, "Regardless of how hard I push to connect with my parents, they don't reciprocate." I didn't highlight this necessarily about my parents, although it does apply to them as well. I highlighted this for any relationship. If there's one thing I've learned in the past 2 years, like really learned to grasp, it's that people will put in the effort they want to for the people they want to. I've tried really hard to create relationships. I always reach out first, always text first, but then then I would always be canceled on and never spoken again to. Yet I would still go out of my own way to text and try to make plans because I wanted relationships so bad. Through all of that, I've really learned this year that you can push so hard to connect with somebody. You could be begging them to connect with you, but if they don't reciprocate, it's never gonna happen, and you just have to let those relationships go. So as sad as it makes me, I have let go of a lot of relationships that I wish I had, whether it be with family or friends, and honestly, I'm okay with it. Of course, some days it hurts. When I think about it, I feel sad, but at the end of the day, it is better for me because less stress, less effort, living more in the presence, having more time for myself. I learned to appreciate all of that versus trying so hard to be in someone's life that doesn't want you to be in their life. Last quote, the quote says, "What my life could be like should I let go of my self-sabotaging habits first." Yep, I'm definitely a self-sabotager. I feel like I have this conversation in every video, so I'm sorry. You've heard this a billion times, but the main idea I'm getting from this book truly is that your life is based on your perspective, and you can change it with a simple tweak. Don't need to make everything dramatic. Don't need to be negative Nelly. I'm negative Natalie all the time. So 2025, that should be my New Year's resolution, is to let go of things. Every year I try to make it my New Year's resolution. I think I'm shaving off a bit every year. I'm becoming more understanding and being less negative, but it's still not where it could be. Also, Luke is such a thoughtful MMC. The little actions that he does for Catalina or the way he remembers some of her habits is so cute, and that truly is love in my opinion, knowing the person you were with. Long-winded discussion about this book. I really did enjoy this one. I recommend it. Again, my scale is very different for holiday reads versus fantasy reads, so I'm gonna rate this 5 stars, but do not think that it is the most amazing piece of artwork out there in the universe. The reason why it's 5 stars is because I didn't get the ick from anything in the book. I loved the plot, I loved the themes, loved the pacing. Overall, very amazing book. Now that I've finished my week of reading holiday books, let's go through my final analysis. Some of my ratings will likely change or have already likely changed just because I've had so many days to analyze all of the books. The biggest thing I learned from this week is that these novellas made me realize how much I actually cherish longer plots. The books that were shorter definitely felt like there was something missing in them. I couldn't really relate to the characters, and that's why I liked Cruel Winter with You, because it had more substance and it held deeper meanings. I do love how short novellas are, but they're only really fun if you have an attachment to the characters or the plot. My final rating of all of the books I read this week would be My December Darling at the top, obviously. 2, Cruel Winter with You by Hazelwood. That one was also good. It made me cry a lot. Surprisingly, My December Darling didn't make me cry. Cruel Winter with You made me cry because it reminded me of young love, and honestly, I can't remember why else because I already forgot all of the plots of these books, but I do remember really enjoying that one. At 3rd place, I put Merriment and Mayhem. I really don't remember this one. I think it was the firefighter one, and I put it 3rd because I really liked the MMC and his confidence as well. 4th, Only Santa's in the Building. This one gave the most holiday vibes to me. 5th, Merry Ever After. After analyzing this one more, I actually realized I did like this one just because of the real meaning behind this one, because the FMC was a single mother and she was trying to learn how to let people into her life and love her again. So I will say I liked that aspect of that book, but otherwise still a little bit cringy and hard to get through. Last, All by My Elf. I surprisingly remember that plot well, but it was my least favorite because it didn't really give Christmas vibes. Both the characters were kind of shy, quiet to themselves, didn't want to admit their feelings to each other. But yeah, that was my final ranking of all of the books I read this week. If you've been looking at these books, I would strongly recommend the top 2, but otherwise I would skip the rest. Since this was my first time reading holiday books, the final question is, would I do this again? And I would have to say no. I don't think I would put myself through this for a whole week just because I don't think there are any other really short novellas like the ones I did this week. Oh my gosh, yesterday I googled one and it was 500 pages. I am not going to read a 500-page holiday book. I think it's a great idea to try maybe one holiday book during the season, but anything too long is a no for me. To answer a different question, did I enjoy it? I actually did enjoy it. Overall, I'm very happy that I forced myself to do this because hey, I found 2 new books that I liked. This is gonna be the end of the video. If you watched all the way through, thank you so much. See y'all in another one.